It starts with your mindset. It starts with your financial and role determination. And then, you need to understand what are your gaps, what are your action plan to land those gaps. And then you can start writing your resume and LinkedIn based on that role and based on those gaps and prepare yourself for interview. So I've prepared something that I can give away today for this audience. Those are called the 5 steps career booster. Those are just 5 specific steps that you need to follow in order for you to be able to make yourself organized, make yourself focused in your journey. I've again created this by AI, as you can see, using the Office theme. And this is because of our today topic. So feel free to take a screenshot of this barcode if you would like, and I'll share the link in the chat too. So again, just to summarize those 5 steps, the first step is understanding your money. How much money do you need from the job, and how, uh, this is going to cover your bills and expenses. The second step is which are the roles or what are the roles that can pay you that money. You need to know what roles that you can deliver that can pay you that money. And then the third step, what are the companies that are looking for that role and are paying that much money? And then the fourth step is, who are the people that you can connect with who are working in those companies, who knows, the hiring cycle or can give you some insights about, what you need to do in order to be ready for those companies. The fifth step, again, after you speak to those people, you will see that you have some gaps. Those gaps, you need to list it down. You need to focus on those gaps, whether those gaps are certifications, whether those gaps are, kind of experience that you need to learn, volunteer, or maybe do some side projects to get those gaps aligned to the role that you're applying for. So again, I'll put the link in the chat. And if you are applying for jobs and you're not getting attention or traction, you're always getting that rejection email that comes to everybody becoming annoying. Most probably your resume is not passing the ATS. And that's a big thing. You need to learn how to make your resume ATS friendly. You need to learn about ATS. And if you need help, you can download my free resume template. Again, you can take a screenshot of this barcode. I'll put the link in the chat as well. But yeah, this is, again, just me talking for a few minutes. I don't want to do more than that. If you need more help, you can book a free consultation with me afterwards, and we can discuss your case specifically. So let's jump into today's maybe topic about AI and what AI is affecting the market. And again, this is going to be a discussion, so feel free to again stay on camera, please, if you can, and if you want to unmute yourself. So write in the chat, what is the one primary reason IT professionals must adapt to AI technologies in today's market? A, B, C, or D. And again, if you feel like it's another thing, just put E. If and put what do you think is that thing that you want to share? And again, this is a topic for discussion because this is the theme of today. So feel free to write in the chat. What is the one primary reason you as an IT professional must adapt to AI technologies in today's market? Jonathan Lee, to focus solely on non-technical aspects. Okay, that's good. Again, and there is no right or wrong answer here. I just, again, want to get some thoughts about what you guys think.
One of the things I like, I mean, just to comment on why I picked E was that, leveraging it, we will always, I mean, I think in our lifetimes, we will always have humans involved in the IT process, because at the end of the day, it's still human to human interaction. That's what's selling things. United Airlines has placed my luggage yesterday as I was traveling home, and I have it tagged so I could watch where it was, and so I knew where it was. But I was having this conversation with AI, and it was terrible. I mean, it was just like it was, so there's lots of room for improvement. There's lots of people who are terrified that AI is going to take their jobs. It's not. I think we just have to work with it. There will be maybe a point in time where AI is sufficient. But I don't think that'll happen in our lifetime. I truly don't. I love the idea of it. I love the idea of having robots in our house. It's beyond what we already have with like robot vacuums and I have a ALEXA on my desk. It's those sorts of things. But yeah, I love the conversation about AI.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, great wisdom. And again, I wanted to ask again if any of the crowd here joining us is a recruiter or a hiring manager, please feel free to introduce yourself. I know that, some of you may be in a position where you can help this community somehow. Again, even if you're not a hiring manager, if you're not a recruiter, and you may have, insights about some roles. Again, thanks, Bonnie, for sharing that role in the chat. This is again how this community become more powerful and more strength and support each other. So thank you so much, Bonnie. Again, if any of the folks in this call today is a hiring manager or a recruiter, please introduce yourself. Kevin, please go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to add on to that discussion about AI. So, one thing I keep noticing with AI is that people tend to use it as a hammer when in reality, AI is more of a drill. So, they think that AI can just do everything for them. They just throw their problem at it and expect AI to do it better than them. But that's not the future, at least not within our lifetime, like the person that was before me, that was speaking before me said. In my opinion, the most effective way to use AI is to learn it, learn exactly how to use it, and then apply it as you want to apply it to your own projects by you yourself using your own brain and AI for the purpose of doing some things faster that would be more efficient to allocate to it, or using some of its abilities to pair that with your own to together work together to work towards what you're trying to do. You can't just throw your problem at AI and expect to do it for you. You must use AI in conjunction with your own cognitive abilities, and that's what's going to get you where you want to
go. Awesome. Again, great wisdom, Kevin, and I truly agree with you. So, what do you guys think? That AI is going to affect in your role. Again, we've taken some, answers here, but what again? Everybody has a different role in this call. So, how do you think AI is affecting your role or disrupting your role? If you wanna maybe unmute and discuss or raise your hand or just write it down in the chat. Okay, I'll maybe ask Samer, for example, because I know Samer is in HR. He may be not really happy with AI, with IT, and what's happening in the world. But again, I'm sure Samer is also using AI today in his role. So please, Samer, from an HR perspective, tell us what does it look like for you to use AI today.
Sure. Thank you very much. So I would say one of the primary reasons for IT professionals must adapt to technologies in today's market is to stay competitive and relevant to rapidly evolving industries. So many things like AI is transforming how business operates, automating tasks, improving decision making through data analysis, and enhancing system efficiency. Without these new technologies, our work as HR is going to become very difficult because we are unable to handle the amount of received applications, received emails, and even people who is using these automated tools for us in HR to deal with that only manually as a human being. We need to be more efficient. So professionals who understand and can work with AI tools are in high demand, definitely in the market, while those who don't risk becoming, they are risk to become obsolete as automation replaces routine tasks. That's some of the things, and my answer was done by ChatGPT. So I was actually reading. I just put this question on ChatGPT and then read it fast and presented to you. And I think it was a good answer and saved me some time. I could prepare that, spend time. It won't be as strong, as efficient than what I just read over the screen. So, practical reason.
Yeah. Thank you, Samar. Again, guys, this is an open forum, so feel free to, chime in and ask questions. We're trying again to focus on AI today and how it affects jobs. I know for a fact, for example, QA jobs are mostly going to be eliminated, because of AI. Unfortunately, because again, AI can now do most of QA jobs, at least from what I know. Jonathan, I think you want to share something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I came off mute. I wanted to, I joked about folding laundry. I actually love folding laundry. I would never, even if the robots today came in and were like, hey, we can fold your laundry for you, I wouldn't want it. I enjoy it. There's something about that process. But like the prompt thing, like there are times when you just sit down and you're just like, how do I say this in a professional setting? Like, I'm from the military. We obviously have with colorful language that we use a lot in our world. And we just seem to like, cuss like a sailor is a real thing, right? How do I say, how do I say WTF in a professional way? It's like, because I want to keep my job, how do I, respond to this? How do I find a way to, I had it use, draft a proposal for me the other day, for a, respond to, I gave it the prompt and it's not great, yet in some ways. Like I asked it to write a book review in my voice, and I asked it to sample the book reviews that I've written and posted on a particular site. And it didn't do a great job. It actually sourced a bunch of other book reviews that use kind of language that I don't typically use when I'm writing. So I took what it sort of the frame that it built for me, pared it down, made it sort of in my own. But I think that's the place where it just kind of can help us a lot, where it's just one of those things that trying to use it as a tool. I'm not an AI expert. I don't pitch and sell AI to folks. It is an investment, and I think it is going to get better as technology companies invest more money in it, and then also as we build, it requires that interaction, and that feedback. And so, if given an opportunity to give feedback, and you're like, hey, was this? And I mean, that's feedback that I offered United when their AI failed me. I said, hey, look, y'all, like in the world in which we live with ChatGPT and Copilot, like y'all can do better with your AI. I kept saying bags. It kept prompting me like, hey, what do you need help with? And I said bags, and they're like, your flight is delayed, and I'm like, I'm on the ground already. I need help with my bags. But it was just like, I just gave up on it. I was just like, look, I can't do this anymore, right? Because I was arguing with a robot, and it's frustrating because you're just like, I'm not arguing with another human being. I'm arguing with a robot, and it's like that's just too much for me. So, but I think there are great ways to leverage it. I developed. I do talk a lot about LinkedIn. I developed a presentation on LinkedIn, and it took me like, I don't know, let's say 6 to 8 hours, right, over the course of a weekend to like kind of put all the wording right. I threw a prompt into Copilot, and it basically gave me like 80% solution. And it's just like, I didn't even think about it. And so that's the things, as you kind of do things, as you do tasks throughout your day, plop an email in, see if they can respond. If, again, keeping with sensitivities, like, because some companies are not allowing people to use AI because once you put it into the AI model, it's in the AI model. And so be very careful about what you're copying and pasting or what you're asking, AI to provide for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing that I just found out recently is OpenAI had an academy now, which is really great for everybody. I think to tap in. It's free, so you can definitely learn about how ChatGPT can help you in campus, at work. Can you create photos like the one that I just use in my presentation today. How do you do this for your kids at school? Data analysis, what have you. So I really encourage everybody in this call to, try to tap into this one. I'll put the link in the chat as well, just in case you don't know how to reach there. This is a great, again, a way for you. And those are just, short videos for you to learn from and benefit through the journey. Definitely this will be just the beginning for you to start thinking about AI and how to leverage AI in your day-to-day activities, whether it's career, whether it's work, and also think about how this is affecting the employer that you're trying to land work with. Kevin, go ahead, sir. You have your hand raised, or that was from before?
Oh, no, sorry. I just realized my mic was still muted.
Okay,
Yeah,
no.
so on the subject of ChatGPT, I also I saw somewhere that for the month of April, the premium version, which I believe allows you access to their more advanced model, is free to students for the entire month.
Nice, nice.
I haven't quite looked into it myself as to how to claim that, but I imagine it's fairly easy. Probably just you log in with your student email or stuff like that, similar to how you get a student discount. So
Amazing.
it's definitely
Again,
something worth experimenting with.
thanks for sharing. Again, we're learning from each other here. So, guys, if you have, other wisdom like Kevin that you want to share with the group, this is how we will grow. This is how this community was shaped. So it's not about me or Jonathan or Sam or Nil just, preaching here. We definitely learn from each other. So for, feel free to share your wisdom as well. Okay, let's move on. Again, if you have other questions, please raise your hand and we're happy to take your question. So it seems again from the discussion and the folks who put their answers in the chat, it seems like automating routine tasks is where AI can do more work, and this is where AI is replacing jobs. So the more you are able to be ahead of that and understand how to increase the amount of skills or tasks that cannot be automated, and those are really tough to find, to be honest. It's not easy for AI to it's not difficult for AI to automate anything today, but again, definitely there is some wisdom, some expertise that we as humans possess, and I don't think it will be able to outsource to AI. So let's move on. Let's go to the next question. If there is no question in the chat or anyone wants to follow up on this. So, in an AI-driven job market, which skill set is most essential for IT professionals to develop? So, again, this question is definitely important because and it's confusing for so many people. I get that question all the time. Should I take this certificate or should I take this degree? Should I do machine learning? Should I learn coding? Should I, even if I'm not in a technical role, some folks are thinking, they should do coding to adapt to AI. So I want to again, open this topic and see what do you guys think, you are missing to tap into AI and get yourself ahead of it.
I I think that for me, I'm definitely going C. I can't tell you the number, not that I bill myself or sell myself as a soft skills expert, but I can't tell you the number of people I run into on a regular basis over the course of my 25 years, working career, which is terrible soft skills, and it's like, and I had terrible soft skills when I was in the army. The my ways of solving problems were just to scream at someone and make them do push-ups. That doesn't really, and I've seen something similar in the civilian world where people just scream at someone. I mean, like, fear will only get you so far. Yelling at someone will only get you so far. And I think that we all, I think anybody who's working, like any work, you're always going to get a return on that investment. Where like I've studied for the perfect example, Ahmed. I know you have a PMP. I do not. I've studied for the PMP numerous times. I've never taken the test. Got scared of it. A lot longer story to that than I want to spend talking about it right now. But I think the return on investment from that studying is so far nothing. But it didn't make me a better project manager or program manager, I don't think. But the work that I've done on my soft skills has always, like, even just spending 5 minutes a day just reading about soft skills, watching a video about soft skills. I mean, I think they're just so incredibly important. Active listening, talking with people, how to respond to people, meet them where they are, because every single one of us, communicates differently. We all have all of the things, the accumulated experience that we bring with us into every single conversation. And so I love any opportunity to talk soft skills.
Yeah, no, great point. And again, David Power just also mentioned this in the chat. So, David, if you again want to come off mute and share your wisdom, go ahead. Otherwise, Diane, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. First time here. And I actually was doing some research, and according to the World Economic Forum, it listed the 10 top 10 fastest growing skills for 2030 and I can put it in the chat here in their report. And interesting enough, AI and big data was number one. Number two, networks and cybersecurity. Three, technological literacy. And then after that was primarily soft skills. So it's a combination of both. And I suspect because AI is, emerging, that's the reason why it's, being touted as number one. And especially if you have to do analytics, and with that comes the challenge of securing your data, privacy, harm, and things of that nature, and also to reskill and upskill organizations with the requisite skills, and it has to be done in a way where folks have the skills to be what you call it now, resilient, agile, and lifelong learners. So, and the ability to communicate effectively as well. So that's just yeah.
Awesome. Again, great wisdom, Diane. Thank you so much for sharing. This is definitely worth reading. Maybe I'll take a look at it after the call. Guys, again, this is affecting you today, so feel free to chime in. Anil, I think you want to add something here. Go ahead.
No, I think Deborah was before me. Somebody was before me. I mean,
Diane, yeah,
if
you can go ahead.
it's gone. Okay. Yeah, just a couple things. So Scott, I mean, I made the jump into IT through soft skills primarily. The tech part was kind of secondary. I did the Dale Carnegie course, which I recommend to anybody who's looking to do any public speaking or any kind of presentation, which you will at some point have to do in your career. It's pretty rare that anybody doesn't have to get in front of people. So if you're really nervous about how to do anything like that, that course digs really deep and makes you feel safe with the audience, as opposed to, I'm not a fan of the other public speaking one, which is more of a rigid form. The other thing is on the issue I have with AI right now, and for a while, is the same issue I have when you hand over requirements to a coding factory to do something for you. First of all, people are generally, my experience has been, people are very poor at putting requirements together for what things are going to look like. They have a vision in their mind. AI can't anticipate what's in people's minds. They can only give what, based on what you're writing and telling them right now. Code factories are the same thing. So where you have offshore code factories, you hand them a bunch of requirements, they will do exactly what that says. And I experienced that trying to build demos. They will not think out of the box. They will not put themselves in the end user's shoes. They will not take emotion into effect of how a color, how something is going to impact people. They will just do the rote. So the idea that you're going to be, if you're a code factory and you're just going to spit out code, yeah, I can see AI taking over time. But there's always going to be that intrinsic sort of intuitive skill you have when you talk to people to understand what something's going to look like, and in particular front-facing applications. So definitely, so the people skills have got me where I got to through Microsoft and whatever, but I'm a pretty social person, so it's a little easier for me. But I highly suggest that you try to get out of your comfort zones and work in ways to try and develop those skills.
Thanks, Neil. David, you want to say anything? I'm not sure if you were trying to get off mute before we take Neil.
No, I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again. Thanks for sharing those links on the chat. Okay, Mohammed, please go ahead.
Yes, what I feel is AI is basically expanding in multiple areas. So in general, AI is going to make smart people smarter, and and basically help people who are trying to learn. It will help them, but it's going to help especially people who are smarter. It's going to make them way too smart, right? That is one thing. Now in the IT industry, again, IT industry is kind of going in a multiple directions. So in every direction, it's going to be helping everyone in a different way. For example, let's say if you are a programmer or if you are a coding person, it's going to help you in a way where you can go ahead and achieve your task much faster. That is one. The second thing is, over the course of time, AI is definitely going to take over the things that you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. But at the other side, AI is also going to open up a lot of job opportunities. Especially, AI is not just going to evolve overnight. It needs to be built. Somebody has to have learned this one, and it needs to be trained. There's going to be a huge market where they have to have a people who understand this machine learning languages, skills, and all those things, and it needs to be taught to the AI, right? So that's going to be the initial phase where you feed the AI whatever is the good way of learning. Once the AI learns, then it's going to take over, and it's going to go beyond that point.
Good point. Thanks, Muhammad, for sharing it. And again, I just want to, bring a thought also because, AI is smart. Sometimes we think it's there, we'll use it whenever we need it, and then we became lazy, because we're relying on AI. We're outsourcing our brains now to AI more than any time before, and which sometimes could make us lazy and make us lose some of our skills. And again, as per this slide, again, soft skills is one of the biggest thing that can affect your career, specifically communication skills and those, how are you presenting yourself, or whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on your resume, whether it's in your interview. And that's one of the things that today employers would definitely test you more, because they know that you can learn technology, they know that you can learn anything, using AI. I now mostly learn anything by asking ChatGPT to give me like a small insight about what does it uh, say, or what does it mean. Definitely a food for thought. How do we learn soft skills through AI? I have some ideas for you guys, to try this. If you're going through interviews, definitely try to write the job description for ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to type for you the interview question. Again, that's basic thing. Most people, I guess, are doing this already. And then you can, answer the question your way and ask ChatGPT to mock your answer, from a technical point of view and also from a communication point of view. And then it will give you, like, again, how many times you are pausing, how many times you are not answering with a focus. Are you, how much time are you taking to answer the question? So definitely use those, let's say, uh, tools available for you in order to make yourself better in your career. Bonnie, Ahmed, how is AI different than a library or encyclopedia? It is just readily available. Bonnie, if you don't mind, can you come off mute, and I want to learn more about your question. Again, I just don't want to assume.
So I think a lot of people think that AI is going to make us lazy. It's going to, turn our kids into they're not writing reports. But I think that we need to look at this more positive. AI has actually been with us since the 1950s, and we're just now catching up and making it readily available. So my question is, when you were saying like, oh, it makes us lazy and it makes us this, no, we have to look at it in more of a positive aspect, that instead of having a library full of encyclopedias, that when you need to write a report, you have to go through thousands of different things, look up the words, categorize it, this and that. Now, all I have to do is ask Chat GPT, like one of your other speakers had said, hey, I needed to write this report. It took me 6 to 8 hours, but now I wrote it in 30 seconds and it gave me 70, 80%. Maybe my percents are off, sorry. So I think that we need to understand the capabilities, not look at it as it makes us lazy, but actually learn how to train our models and how to, catch it when it's glitching and things like that. I readily use many different AIs, and I think that we should try to use as many as possible. In the next 3 years, you are going to see that half or more of the AI models that are out there are going to drop off. And the key models that everyone is using are going to stay there, and we're going to start needing to know. And if you're not on the bandwagon now, you're going to get left behind. So get on, learn as much as you can, learn the basics, and then whatever your background is, focus on that with the AI. That's just my opinion.
Oh, definitely great wisdom. And again, when I mentioned lazy, again, I just meant that some people don't really rely on it. Some people just, let it, sit for a while. Again, how many times, I've been starting something to think about it and then get distracted and then leave it. That's, again, maybe
Sure.
my definition of lazy here, but, maybe I just communicated the idea here. But thanks for bringing up this, Bonnie. And I truly agree with you. Models training is definitely one of the key things. And if you want to maybe share more wisdom about, how do you use this, and maybe what's your role and how are you, you know, developing yourself in AI? Maybe we can all learn from you, Bonnie, here.
I am a technical project manager slash scrum master, and I'm kind of a nerd. I love learning about AI. I used to be in UI and UX design, and I feel like in the next couple of years, that is going to be, you're going to need one UX designer to make sure that your AI technology is not glitching and not giving the wrong information, and the rest of the roles are going to be replaced. So for me, I use AI and agility, creating user stories, contact information with my stakeholders, understanding the needs, understanding the market data. There are so many things, and I agree with what you had said, Ahmed. I believe it was Ahmed that said, be very careful about what you're putting from your company into AI. So, we teach our teams, or I taught my teams. I'm currently unemployed, just got laid off, but we teach our teams in India about how to post without putting company information in there. And I think that's one of the thing that a lot of companies need to start working on and focusing on. And once you use Copilot, Copilot has everything about your company. So a lot of companies are using Teams, but I think it's really something that we need to be more mindful of. And do we want all of our data for our companies out there with Copilot? They're already leading the industry. So, yeah,
Oh,
thank you
good
so
point. No, thanks for sharing, Bonnie. And again, I agree with you. Kevin, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and to add on to that, a lot of the privacy legislation and everything else, especially in Canada, is yet to completely catch up with everything that's going on with regards to what kind of data AI models can use and what those companies then do with that data. For instance, I know Copilot even has a feature where if you, I don't think this is a thing you can do in the in like a regular browser window, but even I'm not sure what browser I have open there, if that's Edge or not, but it doesn't look like it. But yeah, if that were to be Edge, then there's a little button where your extensions are that you can press, and Copilot will pop up sort of on the sidebar. And you can turn this on or off in your settings on Edge. But by default, the setting is actually that it can see what is on your current web page. So you don't even necessarily have to be uploading stuff to Copilot, even if you just have like a Word document, like in the browser version of Word, open right there, it can pull stuff from there. I actually found that out by accident once because I was asking Copilot something, and I didn't give it much context because it was a pretty basic question, but then it responded with an answer that included many elements of context from what was currently on my screen. And I literally asked it, how do you know that? How do you know I'm talking about that right now? And Copilot's like, yeah, I can see what's on your screen. You can turn the setting off here and here, blah, 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 but I can do that. And further to that, not only sensitive company data or other textual information, but a lot of things that one other thing that people are often overlooking is its implications on facial recognition technology. So I've seen a lot of things recently where those in the social media know will probably be familiar with I believe it was called the Ghibli image trend, where you could upload like a photo to ChatGPT and it would like convert it to some like, I guess like anime or manga style or kind of like comic animation style. And this is all rumors, of course, but some of these rumors have reason because some apparent leaks have suggested that certain entities at OpenAI, including but not limited to Sam Altman himself, have been paying various celebrities to propagate this trend. So just to motivate people to keep uploading their personal pictures, because at the end of the day, that's all faces, and who knows what OpenAI does with that. And further to that, there's also a lot of not necessarily OpenAI, or actually, I'm not even sure if OpenAI has something like this, but I know that a lot of other companies have services. Most of them are free as well. And remember, if something's free, you're most often the product. So you can upload like 10 pictures of yourself from various angles, just random selfies. And it will apparently use AI to create a professional headshot for you that you can then use on LinkedIn or whatever. But then again, whether or not you get a quality headshot that you can then use for your purposes, again, you just gave it 10 photos of your face from every angle. So it's these kinds of things we need to be cautious of, especially when our legislation, at least in Canada, is still yet to completely catch up with it.
100%. Good point, Kevin. Thank you. Okay. I think, definitely great wisdom from everybody. Feel free to keep this going. This is how we learn from each other. So moving on to this question about certifications. I know certifications is a big question, and so many people, specifically those maybe fresh graduates who just came out of college, will start asking, what certification should I go for? What should I learn, in order to land a job? And to be honest, I think fresh graduates today are facing a big challenge because the market has so many, talented folks who are unemployed, unfortunately, and it's a big competition. So I want to bring this topic for a discussion with Samer, for example, again, from what you are seeing in the market from an HR perspective, what do you think companies still look for in terms of certifications, and how do they value those certifications?
Thank you very much, Ahmed. So honestly, like AI is an area of challenge for HR. It's bringing a big amount of applications, bringing a bigger amount of polished text, and sometimes exaggerating some of the skills. And the shock will come, as Jonathan mentioned, is the big gap between what we can see on papers and the soft skills of the people. When we invite them for interviews, we discover that their LinkedIn is done very beautifully with the sentences and words. They don't even know what the meaning of it, and they cannot phrase that much of sentences. We see that even profile photo is being edited through artificial intelligence, and when we meet the person, he's a different person, kind of a little bit like, I mean, look younger probably or something. So most of the photos is coming unreal, and that is making working even the opposite way for the candidate themselves, because I'm expecting something and I'm inviting the person to see something a little bit different. If he show me his reality from the first, he have more opportunity to be hired. But whenever I try to verify whatever I see on the papers, because that's something requested from the interview itself. When I call the person for the interview, I am trying to verify his claims. The resume itself is like a claim paper. He's saying, I have a bachelor degree, I have a certification in this and this, and have these skills. And then I'm inviting him to verify these things. When I see a big gap between what I see on the papers and the reality, then that is reducing the chances of getting job offers. If I can, I was only able to verify everything in the paper, I was happy with the paper. That's why I invited the person to the interview. I just want to verify the things to give him a job offer. So that's a gap, I think, and I really advise people to, yes, to benefit from the AI tools, to create higher efficiency, to reduce repeated actions, to take even wiser decisions based on more data processing. And maybe I'm not that deep thinker of AI, but I will say a computer which is doing a chess game will beat any very professional person who's doing chess, because he's just processing alternatives and options and in a faster process than any human being. So he's able to take the decisions that have higher probability of success. Probably using AI in this way will give us a big value, but but using it as a totally depending to manage our life, that is a big wrong. I would prepare things manually still and review it through AI to make sure there's no grammar mistakes, there's no issues with it. I would use AI sometimes to summarize books, big articles, laws, or things, just like to get an extract for the most related things. But I don't rely on AI to take my decision. I will be taking the decision based on the summarized level of information. I
Thanks,
don't know if
Ahmed.
I really trust technology at the level of every IT person who's very deep with that knowledge. But if I am driving a car with like an adaptive cruise control, I can't sleep. I have to keep my eye on the road. So I trust that these technology tools will help us, but not to take the lead, at least
100%.
at this level of 2025.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, and again, Bonnie, you bring a great point too, about volunteering and experience. So that's still a challenge. Unfortunately, volunteering is not easy today to find a place where you can definitely sharpen some of the skill that you need for the job. So I guess again, what I normally try to do in that area is to ask maybe ChatGPT or those tools to put me in a project, and let's say imaginary project, where I can, understand the context and see, what are the challenges that I'll be doing in that project, and maybe try to solve those problems through my expertise. And that's how I learn. So again, if anyone, have insights about, how to, create experience or, leverage experience while unemployed, please come off mute and share your wisdom.
So I think that what I was trying to say is, especially here in our Dallas, Texas area, there are many smaller to mid-sized companies that will allow you to come in and be an intern. And what I've noticed with the market is that companies are looking for experience. So even though you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, they want to understand that you've actually did the project. So the only way to do the project is to get some experience. So I agree with you, Chat GPT, to understand and really be professional about how your research was done and how you're solving problems and those solutions, but also having a company speak on your behalf that, yes, for the last 6 months, they worked with us and these are the projects that they worked on, excuse me, speaks volumes. And I guess the other people on the panel could, confirm or deny this maybe.
No, no, again, you definitely, that's a great point. It's unfortunately those opportunities are not a lot, and this is
Yeah.
where, even some of those companies who are small, because it takes a while for them to benefit from whoever is going to be an intern with them, and they don't have the time. Unfortunately, the time is a big asset today, and it's very scarce. So
Yeah.
that where the challenge is. So I guess again, what I maybe sometimes bring here is creating a group, like, if you, let's say, Bonnie and, other folks from this group, gather together, think about an idea to solve a problem for a specific company or for a specific group, and then you work on that, and that could be like your own startup or your own, let's say, initiative, and you can all be reference to each other. Again, I'm speaking specifically mostly for those who are fresh graduates who don't have any experience and are struggling, so again, thanks, Bonnie, for sharing this. Definitely great wisdom. Any other, follow-up, Bonnie or others?
One of the challenge I've started seeing here, especially on the, like if you're looking for a job, I would like to see how, if anyone here on the HR side is trying to tackle this problem where, uh, because of a AI, even a non not a good resume might start appearing very good, which defeats the purpose. Like a really a good person who has a real good experience versus a person who does not have experience but resume is looking really good. How does the recruiting team or the HR people kind of recognize those things, because the first step to get into a good position or a good job is to go through that resume. And over there, because this AI tool is kind of using your resume and boosting your resume so much, the opportunity for the really good person is kind of getting diminished.
Yeah, that's the false positives that we have in this world
Right.
today.
Because if you don't even put your step in, it's you basically lose right over there. So I'm just trying to understand like how the recruiting team or the HR folks addressing this type of issues, or using this tool to say, okay, this resume not be as promised or as listed here versus the actual experience. Because I mean, if I look at it today, anytime a job post is done, within hours you have some places I have seen, like for a job post there are more than 1,000 applicants, right? And now if everyone is using, or most of them are using AI, it's going to be really challenging for the HR folks to kind of screen those resumes and even identifying the real good talent versus the fake, or the like fabricated AI resumes.
Yeah, I guess I'll let Samer answer this, but again, just a short answer. I think HR2 use AI to, get around this. But Samer, go ahead. I think you're the expert here from HR point of view.
I'm sorry, my connection got interrupted a little bit. Can you summarize
Yeah.
the thing for me?
Yeah. The question is, again, most people use ChatGPT and AI to do their resumes, and this makes them all look good on paper, but it's not the same on reality. So how do you HR, manage this kind of problem?
Okay, so definitely, like it's a very good question, because when HR is looking at a big pool of resumes, and today these pool are reaching thousands, we are not looking at similarity in the people, because we are trying to select. And to select, we are eliminating all similar things in the pool, looking for competitive advantages. So when everybody is writing their resumes on AI, on ChatGPT, for the person who is reading his resume on ChatGPT, he's seeing it as very beautiful, polished, and nice. When it's come to me as an HR, I see a lot of similarity between resumes. So I see only similar copies. And by the way, ChatGPT most of the time is using common words that is not really used in the society, but we can only see it on ChatGPT. And these words is a red alert that this person have just taken the words from ChatGPT. It come to selection, every competition, maybe we are hiring for one or two positions. All similar things is eliminated. And today also ATS system is being trained with some keywords to start monitoring these keywords and start eliminating them from the pool. And I think also I have heard, I don't know, I'm not very sure about that, but universities also are implementing more tools to capture how much percentage of essays and studies is done through AI. And that is also eliminating. There is no professor who's going to do a look at this paper if it's done more than 70% by AI. He doesn't waste his time. It's eliminated, warning being sent to the student to rewrite it. And when it's passing the level of AI percentages, that time when a professor will be looking at it. HR also is going that direction by everything that having high percentage of AI will be automatically eliminated. No human being will be looking at it.
So it sounds almost like if you don't use AI, the chances of getting selected is more.
I would say combine both.
Got it. Thank
Benefit
you.
from this, but put your own touch. Review the papers by yourself and rewrite the things in a way. ChatGPT and other AI tools is a useful tools. We need to use it wisely, not to replace ourselves with it. Don't let AI take the decision on your behalf. You are a human being. You are unique. You have a unique skill set that will allow you to perform certain jobs. If AI can do everything and also do the interview, then companies are going to replace the employees by AI. And that is not what we want. We want the soft skills, the behavioral competencies, and we need the people who can lead and take decisions on spot.
That's a great answer. Thank you, Samir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Okay, we have like 1 minute. Jonathan, I think maybe you have just a follow up on this, or before we take the selfie, or do you want to, do this after the selfie?
Yeah, no, I have a degree in creative writing and poetry, and every once in a while I'll ask it to write me a poem or I'll ask it to write me a song. We will always have singer-songwriters, we always have poets, we always have authors. The AI is not going to replace that, but as Samir was saying, use it as a prompt and then put your touch on it. But as AI advances, so are ways of detecting that. And if you're in an environment where they say you cannot use AI, and then you use it, you face the consequences of it. Just like the speed limit, when I'm driving down the road and I'm doing whatever, there are consequences to that. So it leverages the tool. Don't be scared of it. I hope that everybody is coming away from this as, hey, this is an opportunity to use something that's going to help me do whatever it is, whatever tasks I have to do. Still can't fold your laundry for you, but it can do a lot.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Okay, so
I've been telling folks, because I used to be a hiring manager, and was the importance of networking and finding communities where you can make that face-to-face introduction, speak to recruiters, speak to hiring managers directly, and then follow up with a your LinkedIn information as well as your resume provides you with a greater chance of making that human to human connection. And especially if you have a job posting that after at a job fair, or if the company has has produced a event for which these folks can, or potential candidates can attend. And especially for young folks, brand new, yes, I agree, to get the edge, you may have to do some certification, but also I used to work at Nokia, so co-ops, internships gives you that opportunity to get that added experience on your resume, so that you're not looking like you're just brand new, right? So that for sure is one of the things that I think a lot of students don't know the importance of actually doing. It may extend your school, but it actually is worth the investment to do internships, to do co-ops, volunteer as well with community associations where you get exposure to, because that's what happened with me. I was a chair of Women in Communication and Technology, or these employee resource groups. So you get an opportunity to network with folks outside of your team, and also at your university or college when you join different clubs. Then you get the opportunity when those clubs have events and they invite professionals to those events. You can connect with those professionals, and then you can find volunteer opportunities or opportunities to shadow. So that's basically, I think, how folks can go beyond just sending in the resume anonymously into a 1,000 pile, but that could potentially get filtered out. Yeah.
100% spot on, Diane. And definitely, networking is the number one reason for you to land jobs today. And, definitely it takes strong skills and lots of communication. So try your best, because it's a muscle. It takes a while to build that muscle. It's not easy, especially for those who, are shy, who are not used to being on camera, meet people and socialize. Social skills are getting more tough, as from COVID days. Unfortunately, so many people got isolated, and they stayed there, and it's definitely affecting them. Great wisdom. Thank you, Diane. Muhammad, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your insight and hosting this event. Just I would like to add something to Samuel comment regarding to implementing AI in resume from applicant side. But if you look from different side, which is AI, HR, many HR, I have close to HR, they use AI to generate post job description, which doesn't link with the real work at all. Second, HR, they using AI to filter the resume, okay, without any information or knowledge about the technical skills to do the job, okay, and based on feedback from several HR, one person, for example, applied 5 times, and the fifth time, the HR invite the person to interview, and this person get the job and perform very well, okay, in different level, in different tasks. So my comments here or my insight here, everyone from both sides has to work with AI in a way that's perform. AI is assist, but human being has to be implemented in order to justify, and because this is like judge the resume or the skills for this person, because in this way you can lose candidate which will have very impact on the company or stuff like that, okay. Just it's a critical issue now, AI, how to use it, how to work with it, from both side, from candidate side and HR side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. And again, it's a challenge, Muhammad, and we don't want to, discount definitely everyone's expertise, but AI is there. It's affecting lives, and it's all about time and money today. Like HR companies and others, they are using AI to be more productive, to be more efficient, to be more competitive. So if they don't use AI, then unfortunately they will be out of the market. So, and the same thing for job seekers. If you don't use AI, you will not be efficient and you will not be able to compete with those who use AI plus their soft skills. So it's a journey. It takes a while. I'll let Samer answer, this from an HR perspective, but I guess again, we cannot deny the impact of AI on everybody's life today.
Course. Thank you very much, Ahmed. So what are we looking for at this stage? Are we looking at the existence of AI? It's a reality. It's happening. We can't make ourselves blind on it. We should recognize it and also work with it. The second thing is, if a person is going to for looking for job opportunities, then we need to think from the perspective of HR. HR now, when they see a big amount of applications and the experience they have currently, when they find a resume or application written in a very high percentage by AI, their experience is telling them when you invite the person for interview, you will see something different than what on the paper. So I would say personally, when I see a resume written by AI, I will not invite the person to the interview because it will create a fail for me. I will meet someone who doesn't look like the papers. And that is disappointment. And also from my side, I am an HR recruiter, so I do screening. I am the only person who's looking at the resumes, then deciding if I have to invite this person to an HR panel interview. If I invite the person based on my judgment on the paper, then I will be embarrassed among another three interviewers, seeing, oh, Samer, why you invited this person? He doesn't look very qualified, while the paper is showing that he is qualified. So that is a risk for me. I have my own KPI. I want to reach to a level that I have a good paper, interviewing a good person, and the panel is happy about it and say, thank you for inviting this person for the interview. He is a good candidate. So yeah, I am very paranoid for anything that with a high percentage of AI, obviously.
Yes, Samer. Muhammad, any follow-up here? Are you good?
I disagree, okay, kind of, because again, if, as you said, AI is the time to save the time. Okay, if I write, for example, you mentioned keyword written by AI. If the word is similar to give the meaning, okay, and you catch this resume based on eliminate this resume because this person is using AI. Okay, AI is assistant. Now, if I give you to calculate mathematics problem, everyone is using calculator now on the phone. Okay, if someone using calculator and someone is using head, his mental head calculation. Okay, I am looking for the answer now. Okay, it's similar but in advanced level. Okay, again, what I need to reach is AI should implement a technical expertise in the screening processes, okay, to evaluate the resume.
Yeah.
Why? Because you eliminate talent candidate in
So,
advance.
so Muhammad, if I may just chime in here, just to give you a quick wisdom, I know companies don't only hire because of technical expertise, and this is something that you need to keep in mind. They also have to check your communication skills and how do you show up, because communication is a very critical skill for any job today. And again, I, have been discussing this a lot with everybody who I coach and mentor, and I think again it's not fair sometimes to judge on paper, but this is the process. This is how technology can work today, and this is how it's been evolving for some time. It may not be fair. I hear you, but it's reality. So how can we get around this is by being clear about understanding the process, understanding ATS, understanding systems, and how do they run in order to put ourselves ahead of the crowd. I think I'll leave it there, Muhammad, if you don't mind. I think we just want to take other questions, but I'm happy to work with you offline if you would like. Okay.
Ahmed,
Yes.
can I
Go
just add
on.
one thing to what you said? Mohammed should also know that there are thousands and thousands of companies that do not use ATS trackers. They do not use ChatGPT. So it's not like he's out of the market if he doesn't follow, these specific guidelines. My company is a mid-sized company, and I half of the software development company was all recruiting. They do not use any type of an ATS tracker. They use AI in different parts of the company, but not to find applicants. So there are definitely startups, mid-sized companies that are not using these. So there's definitely opportunities out there. But when you get with your larger corporations, that's where you're going to find that the ATS are being used, the AI, like Samir had said, that it's going to start picking these keywords and kicking you out. So I just wanted to add that.
Great point. Yes. Thank you, Bonnie. Great wisdom. Okay. Uh, I think we'll go to next person online. Mia. Hey, Mia. Glad to see you again. Go ahead.
Hey, hello everyone. Happy Sunday. Just wanted to jump on and say that for me, I'm an early adopter with AI. I've been using it for several years now, and to the point that was made earlier, as far as my resumes, I kind of switch them up. I'm always testing and learning my resume and finding the one that is attracting the most. And I do prompt ChatGPT to use my voice because it has been learning how I can talk to it. So I always say not in, do not use these words, use my words, use it in my tone, definitely learn how to prompt. Also, I do have like my top, I think your last meeting, I've selected my top companies that I'd like to attract. And I've really been, I've attracted two. They reached out to me, which was great. And it's really playing with that algorithm. You got to start talking to LinkedIn, for instance. Get out there, join some groups, build that community, and just start attracting those and making those connections, because that algorithm will start bringing you higher up in the funnel, so to speak, and so others can see you. And so I just wanted to say that from a positive note, that don't be afraid to tell, revise your resume and see which one is really working for you. And seeing, I did dwindle mine down to 2 pages. It was kind of tough because I was like, how do I, this is not going to make sense. Like 2 pages. Are you kidding me? But it's working. And again, just really getting that algorithm running for you, wherever whatever platform you're on. I try to update and populate, all of the top platforms with a new resume every month, because then I start attracting those recruiters. And speaking of recruiters, I research them a lot. I've been getting a lot of recruiters to me, which seem like I've been hit up like kind of almost spamish a little bit, because they're I don't know if their business model, they require to check this box and collecting so many resumes. I'm not sure. So I do a lot of research, even before I even respond to some of these folks. And it has been very helpful. I've had quite a few, a little bit of FaceTime with them before I even start talking about a role, just to really make sure they're legitimate and have a relationship with the company that they're working with. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Good point. Thanks, Maya. And again, I think Neil, you had some question to Maya? Yeah. No?
Yeah, I mean, just brought up an interesting thing that when she said that they use recruiters. Recruiters have a ways of going to find candidates that are specific. Either they use internal references. They'll also do searches through LinkedIn and stuff to find the people on the outset that they're going to target. Depending on the role, if it's a junior, that's a lot different. I mean, juniors, it's pretty much a widespread. Once you start getting to senior levels, you in particular, like I live in Ottawa and the market is not huge, so there's a pretty much know who the people are. But Mia brought up something really interesting. She mentioned there's other platforms that they use to search. And I was just asking Mia if she would mind, if she can remember any of them, or Sam or anybody else knows of other platforms other than LinkedIn that people could have a look at posting.
Yeah, I
mean, that would be really helpful.
Sure. I use Power to Fly. I use builtin.com. I also, of course, Indeed. And those are just really just keeping my resume fresh. So putting that updated resume out there, it kind of like all of a sudden triggers, recruiters to look for. There's a trigger somewhere on their platforms as soon as you put that new resume, and they're reaching out. But those are a few. I also join a lot of calls and fairs. I have had some success. For instance, Power to Fly, they do a lot of job fairs, virtual, and I've jumped on. I've met recruiters. I've actually got pulled into an interview with a couple, even though the job was put on hold. But
great, though.
I have that relationship because they're like, oh my God, we really like you. Please stay in touch, but this job is frozen. So I've been able to at least get that FaceTime and have those conversations, but I do stay on a lot of virtual calls and recruiting platforms, and I try to update it at least once a month.
That's amazing. That's networking nowadays. I mean, in my day, you were banging on doors and trying to get to know people, whether you stalk them or whatever, and it was, that's how you did it. But that's really great information. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and again, to Bonnie's point, so many jobs are not advertised. So even if in those, boards, companies don't have the time to advertise, they just rely on referrals. So your networking is going to be the main input for you to help you land some of those jobs. I think, Samir, do you have any follow-up here before we jump to Muhammad?
Mr. Ahmed, I have to tell you, you have another talent. You can read minds. You said it very well, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Okay, I think Muhammad Siraj, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everyone. So, Brother Ahmed, I was expecting that you would show us that how to write a good resume using the ChatGPT. So, is there something we are not doing this meeting, or maybe next meeting, or what is the plan?
Uh, I,
Like how
I
to tailor resume, this kind of stuff.
I already have done this before in previous calls, so I can send you the recording if you would like. I can send you this, but again, feel free to reach out to me offline. I'll send you the link if that's
Thank you
what
so
you.
much.
Oh, no problem. Happy to help. Again, this is something that ChatGPT can help you a lot today. Definitely don't rely on ChatGPT alone. That's definitely a key point here. Don't just copy and paste whatever ChatGPT gives you, because sometimes it exaggerates a lot. It puts you under a potential risk that you're not able to explain again what you wrote in the resume. Same like what Samer shared. Okay, I think I don't see any hands raised. Again, this is Samer. Okay, go ahead. You have a
Yeah,
follow-up.
if you allow me, Mr. Ahmed, for a final call. I'm looking at the chat and those very long list of job portals, which is really appreciated. Thank you for sharing, Bonnie, this list. However, if I'm looking at a side of a recruiter, okay, so guys, HR are very lazy. And this is an information for you to keep in mind. So HR want to fill positions, and we have a lot of admin work. Part of filling a position, we should advertise the position. So first thing come to any HR person mind, I will put it on my company website. And then if my company website is going to give me enough candidates, I don't want to do extra effort and advertise it somewhere else, because the bigger the pool is an extra work for me to do the screening. So if I am going to get on my website 50 applications, I will be very happy to only look at 50 applications and select 3 for the interview. So think from the perspective of the HR. Is HR is going to advertise on Workable or on Hired or on Dice or on Indeed? So most of these websites is actually looking at their own profits, and their income is coming from the traffic that's coming to their website. So they go and visit the big government department websites and steal jobs and repost it on their websites. Or maybe they are doing technological tools that is only automated search on the whole internet in your area and copying these jobs to their websites. But remember, if you apply on a website that receiving a high potential, like maybe Indeed, and then you are part of a 27,000 applicants. So you are exposing yourself to 2 filters, the Indeed filter and the company filter. Indeed, if they send 27,000 resumes to the city, then city will say, oh, you are putting us in trouble. Why you're sending all these resumes? Send me only a short list. If you're exposed to 2 filters, you have higher probability to be excluded. I advise people to apply on the company websites. That is the best and shortest, easy way to reach to the recruiters. Thank you.
Great wisdom. Thank you so much, Samer. Again, that's a great point to keep in mind for sure. Okay, awesome. Again, I'm very, very happy, with all those questions, all those insights, and all the energy that we got today. This is definitely a great, forum for you guys to share information and share knowledge about your journey and learn from each other. And again, if please share this with others and refer this community and keep coming every Sunday, 11 a.m. I share the links on the chat if you want to get the reminders. You definitely need to register so that you can get the reminders on time. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. Happy Sunday, and we'll see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.